Lynda Lippin, and today I'm going to talk to you about bridging. Bridging is one of my favorite exercises as it addresses a whole lot of muscular strength issues that the majority of people I see need addressed badly. In bridging, you're going to work primarily the back of the body in terms of the lifting strength. So you're using your calf muscles, you're using your hamstrings, you're using your glutes, you're using your back, and you're using your shoulder girdle and arms to stabilize. In the front, however, you're also using your abdominal muscles and your pelvic floor muscles to hold everything together so that you maintain your posture in your bridge. Now, bridging for me is very much about training people to stand. And I have almost all of my clients, I can't think of one, on a very strong bridging and planking home program for in between their sessions with me or in between their trips to the Caribbean for the moment. And I thought I'd share a few of those variations that I give to them with you today. So we're going to start with you on your back. It's important when you start bridging that you have your feet, your ankles right under your knees. It's going to mean your heels are going to be a little bit closer to your tushy than you might normally like them. And it's also going to mean that you're going to be getting some stretching in your quads and your hip flexors as you do your bridge. But it is, again, important for standing that you have your weight solidly into your feet, and your feet need to be under your knees. Now, the second thing that I want you to think about when you're here is having your legs parallel and about hip bone width apart. So the width of the feet in a bridge is going to be dependent upon the width of the hip bones of the person doing it, okay? So just be, somewhat aware. Typically around between 8 and 10 inches apart is pretty normal. Now, you're also going to think about your shoulders here, because chances are, if you're like most people, you're a little bit tight in the front of those shoulders, and when you lie down, your arms look kind of like this. And the way I'm going to have you try to address that is not by simply shoving your shoulder blades together and lifting your chest up, which is what most people would like to do, but simply trying to open up the collarbones a little bit, draw the shoulder blades together a teeny bit, and then really lengthen out through the elbow, the wrist, and the back of the arm. Now this may still be completely impossible depending on how tight you are in the front of the shoulder and how weak you may be in the back of the shoulder. And if that's the case, I want you to just turn your palms up and bring your arms out to the side a little bit more. It'll give you a little more space, which is fine. Finally, I don't want you to jam your chin towards your chest and try to flatten out your neck here. Your weight is going to come up into the shoulder girdle of your shoulder blades and your arms. Your neck should pretty much stay right where it is. So starting with an articulating bridge, because moving the spine is a little bit easier than not moving it, what I want you to start to do is rock your hip bones back. And you're going to rock those hip bones back, and I'm going to move my arms out to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Rocking the hip bones back and then curling the tailbone up. Now notice as I come up, my weight shifts a little bit forward, my knees go towards my toes, and I'm lifting more the hips than I am my chest. When I get up to the top here, I'm looking for a few things. Number one, I'm looking to see that the abdominals are still working, that the hips and the ribs are still connected front, side, and back. If that's not happening, what you're going to do or what you're going to see is this. People will let their abs go, they'll just use their backs. I could breathe into my stomach right now and it doesn't matter because it's not working. Once I get those ribs dropped back down, I reconnect. I actually have better work in my glutes. I have better work in my legs, and I don't have tons of pressure into my neck and my lower back. And then from this position, trying to keep even weight on my feet so I'm not rolling out. I'm not squeezing the knees in, I'm right in the middle. I'm going to start to roll down by simply dropping my breastbone, dropping my ribs, lengthening through my back, and coming all the way down through my tail. So that's your basic articulating bridge. It's as if somebody had a winch and they were pulling your knees away from you as you keep those abdominal muscles in and you lengthen up through that spine and you really get the legs, the hips, and the butt working, reaching the knees forward a little bit towards the toes so that the weight is not back in your neck but forward on your feet, and then coming back down. So play with the articulating bridge a few times, and then try what we call a neutral bridge. Neutral bridge is a lot harder, and it's harder because you're not going to roll your lower back. So you're going to maintain your spinal curves, and this time as you exhale, you're just going to push into the feet and lift those hips right up to the top, and then you're going to drop right back down, just folding at that hip joint. And again, you're just going to lift up. And if you see, this is more like the knee folds that I showed in the pelvic stability video, except instead of fixing the back to move the legs, we're fixing the legs and lifting the back. Now, from this position, there's other things we can add. You can stay in the parallel position. We can add knee folds. So just staying even in the hips, lifting one knee at a time in. We can add lifting the knee in, straightening the leg up. We can lower and lift the leg, trying to keep the hips even. We can keep the leg up. We can lower and lift the hips, trying to stay even and together and really get the glute and the leg on that standing side. We can even play with leg circles here and really challenge the stabilization. Now, you can also play with foot position in the bridge, which will target different areas of your glutes, different areas of your thighs and your pelvic floor. So in addition to this parallel standing, you can bring your heels together and your toes and knees apart, so you're a little bit more like a frog. And when you're in this position, because the knees are rotated out, you're going to get a little bit more work in the external rotators of the hip. And if you tend to be a little tight in the hip flexors, it may be a little bit easier for you to get some length in this position. You can also play with being knock-kneed, with the toes together, the heels apart, and squeezing the knees and lifting up from here, which is going to get the inside back of your hamstring, the back of the inner thigh, and the very, very lowest fibers of your gluteus maximus in a very good way. So to recap, you can do an articulating bridge. You can do a neutral bridge, and I think it's lovely and important to do both. You can add, and up at the top of the bridge, you can add your knee folds, playing with one leg. You can add lowering and lifting a leg. You can add leg circles. You can add lowering and lifting a hip. Staying even on both sides. And then you can play with your leg positions. If that gets really easy, another way I suggest bridging without any equipment is to lift both arms up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulder blades together, and now this time you really have to use your shoulder blades and your shoulder girdle because you don't have your arms to help. So you really have to platform into the back of those shoulders in order to hold yourself up and get things moving. I highly recommend bridging on a daily or every other day basis. It's a really great exercise. When you first start to do it, you may start to get cramps in your hamstrings, in the back of your thigh. That will often happen when your glute muscles in your butt are not working hard enough. Most of us tend to be much stronger in the front of the body than we are in the back of the body. Okay, so it's really crucial to get those muscles working. If you start getting hamstring cramps, I come out of that bridge, come back into it a little bit later on, try lifting a different leg, try a slightly different position. But again, keep bridging. It's really, really good for you, and it will help you and your back start to feel better and stronger in everything else that you do. Once again, I'm an exercise professional, not a medical professional. So if you're having severe aches and pains, you're not sure what's happening in your body, you haven't seen your doctor in a while, I highly recommend seeing your physician and getting cleared before you start any new exercise program. Please visit me on the web at www.lyndalippin.com.